When you're wandering up and down the supermarket aisles, it is time-consuming and often impossible to find healthy options that don't contain additives, inflammatory vegetable oils, loads of sugar and other processed ingredients. And that's why I'm excited to share that we are partnering with Part and Parcel, an online store where you can find all of your healthy pantry staples in one place. Head on over to partandparcel.com.au/Natural Super Kids and use the coupon code NSK for Natural Super Kids, $20, that's NSK $20 to get $20 off your first order. I personally love to stock up on healthy baking ingredients, spelt coconut and buckwheat flours, rapadura sugar and maple syrup. They have an amazing range of healthy sauces and condiments. Some of my favorites are the Sears Organic Basil Pesto and the Good Fat Mayo, both made with only olive oil, none of those inflammatory vegetable oils. I always stock up on cans of black beans and chickpeas, lentils, butter beans to add plant fiber to my family meals, and they have a great range of sustainable and healthy tinned fish options as well. I'm always adding crackers and wraps to my order. They stock mountain bread wraps, which I love, rice crackers, seed crackers, again, all without the additives and inflammatory vegetable oils. I love the tea and coffee range. The made loose leaf teas are delicious, as well as the Tulsi tea range. I particularly love the tummy tea after meals. You can find lots of gut health ingredients at Part and Parcel. They stock the Gevity broth pastes and the Nutra organic broth powders, which I always have on hand in my pantry. They also stock things like supplements, cod liver oil, collagen, and whole food powders such as Foraged for You. They have a great range of low-tox cleaning products as well. Some of my favorite brands are stocked at Part and Parcel, Koala Eco and Abode. And they also have personal care products, Weleda skincare, which I love, low-tox sunscreens, deodorants, and so much more. So head on over to partandparcel.com.au/Natural Super Kids and use the coupon code NSK $20 to get $20 off your first order. Orders must be over $99 to claim this $20 discount. I hope you love Part and Parcel just as much as I do. Welcome to the Natural Super Kids podcast, where you will discover practical strategies to inspire you to boost the health and nutrition of your kids. I'm Jessica Donovan, a qualified naturopath specialising in kids' health, and I want to make it as easy as possible for you to raise healthy and happy kids. Let's get into it. This is actually our final podcast for 2024. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be taking a few weeks break. We are going to be back on the 5th of January with our first episode for 2025. And in the meantime, if you are wanting to get some of the goodness of the Natural Super Kids podcast, I'm sure there are plenty of episodes you can go back to either listen to for the first time. You may have missed them. We have almost 200. We're getting very close to our 200th episode. So there's a lot of episodes for you to go back to and listen to. Or if you've been an avid listener and have listened to all of our podcasts, you may want to go back and listen to some of your favorites again. I just wanted to wish all of our podcast listeners a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope you get some really special time connecting with your family, which is what the festive season is all about for me. So, thank you so much for listening and supporting us this year. And we are looking forward to bringing some amazing episodes to you for 2025, which we have already started planning. So, today's episode is another Real Conversations. You guys have been loving these episodes, which I am so happy about because I think there's so much value in hearing other people's stories. And I think what people are loving is that it gives them hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to different challenges and issues they're having with their own children's health. So we're talking to Andrea today and mainly about her son, but we touch on her daughter a little bit as well. So Andrea is one of our Natural Super Kids Club members, and she's also one of our naturopathic clients. And so she is going to be sharing the turnaround that she's had with her son's sleep. He was waking countless times through the night, which, as we all know, is completely exhausting for the whole family. Not only was he having issues just waking through the night, but there were night terrors, there were growing pains, and of course, those cranky moods throughout the day, due to those sleep issues. So I am excited to introduce you to Andrea. I hope you enjoy this episode and this conversation with Andrea. And if you are listening and you would like to get some support when it comes to your child's health, you can click on the link in the show notes, or you can head to our website, naturalsuperkids.com, and you can find out more about booking an appointment with one of our naturopaths there. Here's Andrea. Welcome to the Natural Super Kids podcast, Andrea. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to have a chat with me. Let's start by you telling us a little bit about you and your family.
I live in sunny Queensland. I have two children, Evie, she's 7, and my son Noah, who's 4.
7 and 4. Lucky you, living in sunny Queensland. I'm always envious of the Queensland weather, living in South Australia, because it's very up and down here. It's nice and warm today, but you guys get so much nice weather up there.
We're lucky.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell us a little bit about the main challenges that you've been having with your children? I know today we're going to focus mainly on Noah, but yeah, anything you want to share?
Yes, so even with my daughter, she kind of had the chicken skin on the back of the arms, lots of sort of allergies and things like that, and lots of trouble falling asleep. So we were sort of aware of different foods and things like that in the household. I didn't really suspect that there was anything too much, that would upset our son in that way. But as he started to get older, we started to see patterns forming. And I stumbled across the podcast actually, which then led me to be a club member, and then started working with you guys. And we've seen some really good changes since then. So with Noah, we were finding he was having a lot of difficulty sleeping. So going to sleep was fine, but staying asleep was the issue. So he could be up anywhere from 1 to 6 times a night. And then he was experiencing night terrors. So when he'd wake up in the morning, he was pretty cranky. It was pretty hard to be around. And yes, we found that I think it was between sleep and then him not wanting to go to the toilet to do a number 2. Between that made him really cranky, and which in return made the whole household quite cranky. Yes. So
Yes,
we
and that's
were
the thing,
looking for
isn't
some
it?
help.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say that's the thing with sleep. It's like not just a pain during the night, but it affects everyone's mood. It's such a it's such a foundational thing, isn't it? Getting enough sleep. And when we don't, and coupled with, like you're saying, like a bit of constipation, like that can lead to a lot of mood and behavioral challenges in kids.
Yes, definitely. We also found he was complaining of growing pains a lot in his legs, especially during the night. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So they're the sort of main reasons that you sort of found our podcast and then seek support from our naturopaths. Um, so yeah, that's really good to know. And the chicken skin that you were talking about with your daughter, like that bumpy kind of back of the arm skin, which is so common, keratosis pilaris, it's called. It's like a long word, but so common in kids. Was Noah experiencing that as well?
No, he wasn't. No.
Okay. Okay, so that was just your daughter. Um, okay, and what sort of things were going on with Noah's mood? Like, was he like obviously you said he was grumpy. Was that kind of like all day, every day, or was it worse in the mornings?
It was pretty much all day, every day. I felt like we were walking on eggshells around a 4-year-old, which sounds ridiculous. But he would have big moods, big feelings, and it would take a really long time for him to come out of it as well. It wasn't something that you could say, oh, let's go play outside, and he'd forget all about it. He was in a mindset and he'd stay there.
Yeah, so that's sort of stubborn, not easy to reason with or distract. Like, yeah, and that's just not easy to deal with. Like, we have stressful lives enough, right? Than having to deal with those kind of moods that go on and on and on.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds really challenging. So, you have been working with both Sarah and Laura, our naturopaths. And so, tell us about some of the changes that you've been making, the healthy changes for the family and for Noah in particular.
Um, so let's have a look here. Obviously, starting with his supplements. So he was on a little bit more to start with, but now he takes the Magcom and the Ultraflora GI Regulate every night, and that has made a really big difference to his sleep. So we have a pretty scheduled bedtime. Uh, Sometimes he even asks to go to bed if he's feeling a bit tired before that. And we pop him down, say goodnight, and by the time we walk back, he is asleep. And then 9 times out of 10, we don't hear a peep until the morning time, and he wanders out and he's quite refreshed and happy and ready for the day. Also adding in different like bliss balls and things like that as treats has been really handy. And the other thing that I didn't realize that I was probably doing the wrong thing was I was giving him too much fruit. So actually cutting back on how much fruit intake he has each day. I guess just in my mind when he was asking for something, can I be like, oh, well, just have a bit of fruit first, and then you can have this, thinking that I was doing the right thing. I was actually giving him too many serves, resulting in a bit of a sugar high and low. Yeah, so with those changes, it's been great.
That's amazing. And so, yeah, just some sort of tweaks to his diet. And that's really interesting. I think people listening will find that interesting, the fruit, because it's, we like you were, we think, oh, healthy snack, just eat more fruit, especially for those kids that are going through, growing stages and they're constantly hungry. And it's like, what do I feed them? Fruit seems like a good option. And it is to an extent, but like you said, you can go overboard with the fruit, and some fruits are high in fructose, which can upset some kids' tummies and lead to digestive issues as well. So cutting back the fruit has helped.
Yes, definitely. And then replacing them, like we were already having veggies with dinner and things like that, but I found just in Woolies having the little, like the mini carrot sticks or the mini cucumbers. I think the novelty of it being small, he thought that was great. So he'll just grab that as a snack. And yeah, that's working really well for us.
Perfect. And that's just like that simple tweak of like not so much fruit, replace some of that fruit with some veggies that he's still enjoying eating. And yeah, those little minis, like little mini cucumbers or even little tiny tomatoes or cucumber sticks, carrot sticks can be great for kids. They see them as a bit of a novelty, don't they?
Definitely, definitely.
And I just want to go back to a couple of the other points that you made, the bliss balls. I'm guessing that they were they the smooth move balls, the club recipe, or do you remember?
These ones are the ones that tend to be our favorite ones have been the date ball. So
Okay.
with the chia seeds. So
Yeah.
just a little bit of the dates, but mainly the chia seeds and then mixing in like flaxseed and everything like that in there and just kind of hiding that all in one. To be honest, when I made it, I thought, oh, I don't know if they'll go for this, but they love it and they call them little chocolate balls. So
Yeah, perfect. And that's such a good another good tip. So you can fit in a lot of those kind of foods that can help the bowels move that have that more of a laxative effect, like the flax seeds and the chia seeds. But putting them in with dates. And do you put like cocoa or cacao powder in to make them chocolatey?
a little bit of cocoa powder, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that can, like you said, the kids see those as a treat, but they've got some ingredients in there that are actually helping the gut, which in turn helps the sleep and the mood and the behavior. So that's a really awesome tip as well. And then also just wanted to go back to those supplements. So basically, it was a nutritional supplement that was high in magnesium, and the other one, the GI Regulate that you mentioned, just to let anyone listening know, is a pre and a probiotic mixed together, and we prescribe that a lot for kids with constipation. It's not always the best one, but like you're saying, that made a difference. And how were the kids taking the supplements, or how was Noah taking the supplements? Did he mind taking them?
So just with a bit of water first, and then we put like a little bit of juice or just something over the top just to kind of mask it a little bit. And that would be enough just to put that like little sprinkle of flavoring through that he was happy with that. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, another good tip. And the great thing about a lot of the prebiotics that we will prescribe, they do mix in really easily, which is key when we're working with kids because kids pick up that texture. I know my daughter's really big for this. She's a teenager, but if I try and sneak a little bit too much green banana starch or something in which is a prebiotic into her smoothie, she's like, "What have you put in here?" I can sense that it's the texture more than the taste. So that's the great thing about something like the GI Regulate. It mixes in really well.
Yeah. And we were really keen on rebuilding his gut health. I forgot to add, sorry, I think from when he was 2, even maybe a little bit younger, he had 12 months, he had 13 rounds of antibiotics until he was able to get, he had grommets, tonsils, and adenoids done in one. And then that sort of obviously slowed that down. But yeah, he just had no good gut health after that. And I think we were trying to rebuild it with some foods and stuff, but with little kids, some of that stuff they are just not going to go
Exactly.
for.
Yeah, yeah. So that restoration of his gut microbiome would have been a really important part of his treatment plan. And, that working with Sarah, she would have taken in that history of, enlarged tonsils and adenoids. I'm guessing, did he have a lot of ear infections as well?
Yes, yeah, lots of ear infections,
Mm.
all the good things put together. It was a horrible year for kid.
Oh, how old was he then? Was that his first? Did you say like his
Would
first
have
year?
been 2.
Two. Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say that's more sort of around the time that those sort of issues happen. So that's a lot of antibiotics that disrupt the gut microbiome. And we know, well, anyone listening to this that's been listening to this podcast for any length of time will know I've talked a lot about that gut brain connection. So when the gut is unhappy, often mood and behavior and sleep get influenced. So good that you had such good success. And can I ask, how long did it take for him to start sort of sleeping through the night? Was that fairly quick, or did that take a bit of time?
It actually was fairly quick. I think we could see quite significant changes within about 2 weeks.
Great.
Yeah. Even with the mag maybe after a couple days use, he stopped complaining about having sore legs and things like that. And I found that he was sleeping better already then. And from about the 2 week mark, he was, yeah, like a new child.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so Magcom is that magnesium supplement. It's got some other nutrients in there as well. But Yeah, magnesium is so great for kids just to, because he had that hyperactivity kind of pattern as well, just to kind of calm him down and help him not just get to sleep, but stay asleep through the night. Yeah. And that's a quick, that's promising for a lot of parents listening. Like it doesn't have to take months and months and months. Often changes are quick, not always really quick. It depends on what's going on, but yeah, that must have been a big relief for everyone in the
Yeah,
house.
definitely. Because it's always such a big gamble, I guess, I guess you sit on the fence for a while of if should I make the appointment, should I get the supplements, whatnot. And then when you finally do and you see the changes for yourself and you start thinking, I should have done this so long ago.
Yeah, why do we resist I mean, we do that for ourselves as well, don't we? Like, hold off, I don't know, getting support in a certain area and then you do and you're like, "Oh, why haven't why didn't I take that step sooner?" Yeah, that's so good to know. So, as well so you mentioned that he's been sleeping solidly, which is amazing. Tell us about some of the other improvements that you've noticed.
This is our first kind of big stint, I think, since he was born, where we haven't had sickness through the house. So for the last couple of months, which is huge. He was a croupy baby, so he got croup all time, and if we went to a playgroup or daycare drop off or something and I could hear another kid coughing, I could feel the dread because I just knew that he would pick it up. He would catch everything and it would go straight to his chest and it would be, what might be a small cough for some kids was quite significant and long lasting for him. And yeah, so from when we started, he might have had a minor sort of runny nose here and there, but nothing like what he was, which is life changing. So, we don't have to have time off work or call in reinforcements.
Yes, it's another example of when kids aren't sleeping and they're constantly sick and you have to take time off work and yeah, or ask people to look after him if you've got that support. To have that, not to have to worry about that, like makes such a huge difference to your overall kind of mental load as a mom, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think a lot of mums will resonate with that feeling of hearing that cough and knowing that your child's going to pick it up and then knowing that it potentially is going to go through the household and having those kids that don't bounce back quickly because of, a variety of different reasons. Yeah, so good that he's now not getting sick as often. Or you've said like you haven't had any sickness in the house for a couple of months and sleeping better. Just those two things are huge. And have you noticed an overall change in his mood during the day at all?
Yeah, we have found that he's just generally happier. And we have had some comments from like family members and stuff that don't see him all the time. And then they sense the time that they, oh wow, like he's really come a long way, or he's growing up and mature, he's a lot calmer. Like and yeah, it's only been in those last couple of months. So I think it is all of those things put together that's helping him, yeah, helping everyone see the beautiful little boy he is.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing, isn't it? When there's all this stuff going on and they've got, irritability and discomfort, and that that's not truly who they are. And, I've heard that from other mums before. Like, you get rid of all of those issues and you can see your child for who they actually are, and other people can see them for, who they actually are as well. So that's so beautiful. And what was the other thing that I was going to say? Oh, when other people are noticing, especially people who haven't seen them for a while, like that's when you know that there's been major changes, don't isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So when you're with them all the time and you're always seeing things come in leaps and bounds, it's not till you look back and think, wow, we've come so far because you're only seeing little bits every single day. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so true. When we're talking to clients, often it's like, oh, and what about this symptom? And parents will go, oh yeah, that's gone as well. Like you kind of forget what, how much they were struggling. I think because life's just so busy and you just kind of get on with it. And yeah, so that's always good to hear. And how have you found sort of maintaining the recommendations and the healthy changes that you've made? Do you feel like that's, hard to maintain, or has that become a real habit for you now?
It's become a habit for us. It really hasn't been too hard at all. When we first started, I was writing down when I was giving, him the supplements and how much, and I was constantly checking I was definitely giving the right amount and things like this.
Mm.
But now it's just second nature. We make it up with dinner and and that's it. And then when it comes to making snacks at the start of the week and whatnot, we have our favorites and we just go with that and we just kind of stick with what is working until they ask for something else, really.
Yeah, amazing. That's so good. You've made so much progress, and congratulations to you, because I know you said it hasn't been all that hard to make the changes, but I always like to kind of give credit to the parents, because as the practitioners, we're kind of guiding you and like, I guess, encouraging you to make certain changes, but it's you that has to make the changes, and it's not always easy. So it sounds like the changes you've made have really paid off, though. So, yeah, congratulations and well done for that.
Thank you.
So, let's get into some quick fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Okay.
All right. First one is, what do you think your kids would say if I asked them what makes you a good mum?
Well, I think they would say probably watching them play, but I think being their safe space.
Oh, yes. That's lovely. And you're at that age that they're like, watch me, mum. Watch this, mum. Look at this, mum. Is that what's going on in your house?
Definitely. I don't have enough eyes to watch everything that's going on.
I remember that. And I'll just say, make the most of it before they're teenagers like my two and they don't want anything to do with you anymore. It's a hard transition, but I remember how, like, oh, I can't watch you everything that you're doing, but that's yeah, that's lovely. What do you find most challenging in motherhood?
I think that there is so much advice, so much influence everywhere. You open social media or just talking to other people or even people from different generations. Everyone's got an opinion on what's going to work. So I think just navigating through that of what truly works for your own children and your family, because that's always very hard.
Yeah, I agree. And that goes all the way through, right? Like from how to birth and how to introduce solids to them and how to parent them when they're going through the toddler tantrums, all the way up to, what to do, how to navigate things when they're teenagers. So yeah, it's so noisy, isn't it? And I think sometimes we just need to take a deep breath and like tune into, like you said, what's going to be best for our children and our family as well, because there's not right and wrong. It's definitely more complex than that. Okay, I don't think you're alone in like feeling like that's a challenging part of motherhood as well. All right, next one is, do you prefer crafts, cooking, or outdoor adventures with your kids?
Outdoor adventures, especially my son is quite into, he loves to be outside and my husband and his dad is a farmer, so he loves to kind of be out there doing all that with him as well. But I find gets kind of me and my husband into it as well to play. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it helps the kids to burn off all their crazy energy as well, doesn't it? Yeah, love it. Well, you're the third person I've had these conversations with, and every one of you has said outdoor adventures.
Oh, there you
No, I'm
go.
I'm not talking to any crafty mums, and I'm not a crafty mum either. I feel guilty about that sometimes, but outdoor adventures all the way. What's a meal that you make that everyone eats?
chicken tacos, which so just cutting up all like the veggie and whatnot to go with, and then they um, make up their own little tacos or little homemade chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are always, I've had 100% success rate so far.
It's always good when you land on those recipes. And yeah, tacos and Mexican, I think overall is a good one. And I love that build your own idea, because then you can put it all out and everyone can choose what they want. I think that's a really good way to serve meals when it comes to families and kids of all ages. Awesome. That will give some listeners some inspiration about what to cook for dinner tonight. And last question, if you had 2 hours to yourself today, what would you do?
Oh, I would probably take the dogs for a really long walk and just myself, listen to some music. Yeah.
Sounds perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, it's been really good to chat to you. Thanks for your time coming on and sharing your story and inspiring other parents.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Head on over to our website, naturalsuperkids.com, for the show notes for this episode, as well as a whole heap of inspiration to help you raise healthy and happy kids. I'll see you next week. Don't forget, you can get $20 off your first order with Part and Parcel, an online store where you can find all of your healthy pantry staples in one place. All you need to do is use the coupon code NSK for Natural Super Kids, $20, that's NSK, $20 to get $20 off your first order, as long as it's over $99. And as well as all of those healthy pantry staples that I mentioned at the start of this episode, they have a great range of snack foods, maybe for those weeks where you don't get around to baking whole food bars, healthy popcorn, jerky, and baking mixes with only healthy ingredients. Head on over to partandparcel.com.au/Natural Super Kids and use the coupon code NSK $20. I know you will love the convenience and all of the healthy options that Part and Parcel have to offer. We are thrilled to be collaborating with them.